Hello everyone, thanks for joining the tour today, and we're going to be taking a look at the newly renovated bungalows, or otherwise now known as the cottages, which we've gone through about half of them so far, and we're looking at cottages number 4 and 8 at this time. And this is just a view of the balcony. We changed the entrance from being in the middle, and so if you are familiar with the property, there used to be an entrance for 2 rooms in one of these bungalow housing structures, and now each bungalow, each room has their own entrance to the side and a little bit more privacy as well, because we split the balconies. So you don't necessarily have to talk to the neighbor if you don't want to, but you can of course go around if you would like. And moving into the room itself, these are brand new beds and frames and new design with the throw pillows and the standard pillows in the back there. And then you can also see the kitchenette unit that we renovated, and we'll get to in a second. Also, we added a working desk with a charging station, so you have USB and also Type-C there as well, right below the television. And that's for anybody who wants to get some work done, especially those work from home people. And this is a wider view of the room, and I just want to make note of the AC, because these used to be fan cooled rooms, and now we got rid of the louver windows, and so now it's completely sealed up, if you will, with, as far as the windows go, brand new windows. And also want to bring attention to the ceilings. So the ceilings used to be flat, and now we brought them up to an apex to give a little bit more room and make it feel a little bit more spacious, but still maintain the coziness. And also bringing some more attention to the far right corner of the kitchenette that we have, and we'll get to that in a second, and also the newly renovated bathroom. So we basically gutted this entire place. Even the floor tiles are brand new as well. And this is another angle of the bed, and just want to bring some attention to the LED bed frame, as well as the embedded nightstands and lamps, and another view of the kitchenette, I should say. And as you can see, it has basically all the utensils and tools that you might need to cook a meal. Included is a mini fridge there down on the left, and a hot plate, coffee maker, ice bucket, all the knives and utensils that you may need to feed a small family. Not necessarily Thanksgiving dinner, but you can definitely chef it up in there, especially if you're staying for an extended period of time. This might be a perfect type of accommodation for you. And that essentially is the kitchen. And now moving on to the bathroom. And as I mentioned before, like floor to ceiling, new floor tiles, new ceiling tiles. Got the LED frame around the mirror just to give a little bit more lights. We changed out the square louver windows for the ship window, I guess you can call it. And we got the rainfall shower head and the glass frame shower door. Even the towel holders, those are all new. And again, trying to bring together everything in the room, the kitchenette, and to complete the cottage experience, if you will. So very happy and proud of how this was done, and really wanted to give a modern look and feel to this new room category, the cottage. And so also with this wider angle, want to bring attention to the closet. So you got some drawer space there, and you got some hanging space as well, and your safe, of course, and the ironing board is on the other side in between the closet and the window there. And yeah, another angle of the room, and also want to bring attention to that long standing mirror there, so full frame mirror. And that essentially is the bungalow, and this is kind of our way of paying homage to my dad and where he started from with this hotel, Travelers Beach Resort.
I've been with the Pinnacle since inception, since we first opened our doors to the public in 2023. I'm a sales executive for the Pinnacle. So it was not an easy concept to grasp for here. I'm like, in Jamaica, in Montego Bay, how is that going to work? Because it's villas and it's hotel, it's residences and hotel, and then commercial area. That's huge. right? I've seen it elsewhere in bigger markets, in maybe better demographic locations. So in Jamaica, like, how will that work? How can we sell this? How are we going to sell this? You know, a lot of doubts when I just heard about it. But then I'm here, I'm doing it every day. I'm loving it. It's a great product. It's an easy sell. It's something I can do in my sleep. I can talk to Pinnacle in my sleep. I believe in the vision of our directors, and we're all working together as a team to make sure that in 2029, when we open our doors to everybody, all that we've dreamed of and they're working towards will be accomplished. Our directors they're born in China, they're Chinese, but they're Jamaicans. They've been here for an average of 20 years each. This is where they have their businesses, their families. This is where their children go to school. So this is where they want to give back as well. They want to make sure they're helping to build Montego Bay and Jamaica in general by offering this kind of space where, as a business owner, you can come and own a part of this. You can have your offering here as well. And we're going to have a great mix. We're not restricting it. We're not limiting. We just want to make sure that anybody that's in this space also believes in our dream, has that vision, wants to have that elevated experience, and wants to offer that elevated service to a potential visitor or guest or client that comes in. We're sitting in our commercial area now, where if you're here on this property, or if you don't live here, you're not visiting, but then you want to come to the supermarket or the pharmacy or the cafe or the clothing store, you can come here. It's commercial, it will be open to the public. The public will have access. Then we have the 4 towers. We have the Swallowtail, which is the residential tower. So if you buy into the Swallowtail, then the expectation is that you're going to live here. And then who wouldn't want to live here, right? So you can actually live at a branded residence, 5-star hotel property, right? Second tower is our Canary Tower. And these units we're selling individually. It's the same 1:4 units as the Swallowtail Tower. Same layout, same design, same look and feel. But in this tower, the expectation is, or what we're saying to you is, if you buy here, you don't have to live here. We'll never allow Airbnb or short-term rentals, but you own your unit, it's titled in your name, and then you have the option to put it back into the residential return program with the hotel. That means if you don't live in Jamaica, and most of our buyers they're Jamaicans or members of the diaspora. We have some international people, but it's a good mix. So it means that if you're not ready to live here, if you don't live here right now, but you still want to have some kind of piece of this pie, you can buy into the Canary. When you're not in your unit, it's with the hotel. The hotel takes care of everything associated with that. It's the guests coming in and out, the marketing, the maintenance, and the average day-to-day of the unit. The third tower, the Hummingbird, we have not yet started to sell, but will basically be the same manner as the Canary. That will be the buying option for persons that want to buy. Our fourth tower, which is going to be the hotel, it's the Mondrian. We're not selling those units at all. The hotel has already taken that. And the hotel group is their core hospitality group. The first 2 towers are 28 stories, 141 units. The third tower, we've modified a little bit based on our conversations with Accor. It's now going to be 25 stories with a little bit under 200 units. And then we're going to have the third tower, which will be 23 stories. Because what we have in mind is we want everybody to also get a view, right? And I'm sure we'll touch on the views in a little bit. So and we're speaking with the hotel, we have that in mind, and we're making sure that it works for us as well as for our buyers, with all the amenities that you can think of and associate with a 5-star property. So it's the parking garages. So the first parking garage will have 380 car spaces for parking with storage lockers. The second one is 275. And on top of those parking garages, now you have the pool decks and the green area, rec area, where you can come as a resident or as a visitor and just have fun, relax, read a book, go by the bar, take your children. Just a general relaxation area. We're going to have pickleball, tennis court, basketball courts. We'll have 5-star restaurants, cigar bar, wine bar, spa, gym, 24 hours. It never closes. Living starts on the 3rd floor, and then the layout changes as well. From 3 to 18, there are 7 units per floor. You get a combination of 5 2-beds, 1 1-bed, and a 3-bed. Then once you get above that, 19 to 24, you have 2 beds, 2 3-beds. They're bigger. And then above that, 25 and 26, 2 sets of 4-bedroom sub-penthouses. Then it goes 27, 28, 5,000 square feet each of a 5-bedroom penthouse. If you buy a penthouse, you automatically get a slip with your purchase. If you buy a sub-pent, you get a slip with your purchase. The others will be open for you to pay to use while you're here. We'll also have a water taxi. We're gonna have a ferry service, So we can pick people up at Freeport and take them here. We can take people from here to strategic locations in and around Mobay. So it cuts out all the highway traffic and the downtown traffic if you don't choose to travel by road. You can actually go by sea much faster. I have different clients with different reactions. I have clients that I speak with all the time because they're very hands-on and they want to make sure and they want updates very often, right? And then I have clients that are just ready. I have a lot of clients that especially are in the US. They're Jamaicans, but in the US, and they've worked hard for years. They're ready to come back home and they're like, can you just finish already? This is beautiful. This will actually match the lifestyle that I have now. This, I'll have my walking trail, I'll have my gym. There's a supermarket right there. I want to come home. I am ready for this elevated style of living where I'm from. So they're experiencing it in another country. And they're excited that they can come home, they can retire here just the same and have that same level of experience. A lot of people weren't expecting it. No 2 units have the same price. That's food for thought, right? So we have pricing based on availability right now, because that's where the starting price is based on what's available. And then also based on the size of the unit, the layout, and then the floor that you're on and the view that you get. So for example, we circulate a lot. We do a lot of media and social media posts with our model units. That's a $1,299 lagoon facing unit, right? Right to the right of that is a 3-bed unit that's 1,732 square feet. And then all around you have 4 more 2-beds, 1056, 1323, 1473, different sizes. You get a sea view, you get a sea and mountain view. There are different views and different facts to consider when you're in a unit. So I'm not trying to be roundabout, but that does impact the price, right? So it depends on what you want. But comfortably, we're averaging now, you're looking at close to $500,000 for a 1-bed, over $600,000 for a 2-bed, and then roughly $1 million for a 3-bed. And then before you respond and say, or before our viewers respond and say, that sounds kind of high. We did our market research. It's pretty close to a lot of other offerings locally. And then you still can compare offerings to other offerings. Because you're not just buying a building, you're not just buying a structure. You're buying into a branded residence, into elevated lifestyle, into luxury living. Why not? We're saying if this is the experience that you want, if what we're offering matches your lifestyle now or the one that you're working to have, come in and have a conversation with us. Let's discuss your options. We will be handover ready with the Swallowtail Tower in April of 2027, but construction will be done before that. For Canary, handover ready, and construction due date is 2028. We're ahead of that. The entire development is 2029. So all amenities, the homes along the front, along the sea line, the towers, done for 2029.
Hey everyone, Throp here. I hope you enjoyed that infomercial on the Pinnacle. I know really exciting stuff ahead. If you'd like some more information, please scan the QR code on your screen right now or click the link in the description below, and we'll have a representative from the Pinnacle reach out to you right away. Now back to the stream. This podcast is supported by Discovery Water. Whether I'm working or training, I reach for Discovery Water. 100% premium Jamaican spring water. Bottled in glass, no plastic, no gimmicks. Refill, not landfill. Just clean, natural hydration from right here on the island. Afternoon, everyone, and happy Thursday to you all. We are here for another dedicated Throp-X live stream for you. This is our kind of sort of midweek, end of the week live stream that we are starting and going through right till basically right till May, and then started about. I mean, maybe for almost the rest of the year actually, because we got 2 Throp-X's this year. So these are always fun for me. I enjoy having a second live stream, and it's another way for me to connect with you all out there a second time during the week, and to go and talk about more specific stuff. And this is kind of my opportunity to bring on some guests during the week to discuss Throp-X stuff, Jamaica stuff, anything we want to talk about. And today we're going to be talking about AI. And I know this is something that has been very prominent out there, I think, in all of our lives, not just this year, but I want to say probably the better part of the last 2 years. And it is impacting us in so many different ways. Definitely for me, and maybe I'll talk about that a little bit in my own workflow and with my team. And it's seemingly getting more and more crazier almost day by day. And it's like, if you don't, it's almost like you need you need like a full-time job or a full-time assistant in helping you keep up with this stuff, because it's just moving so rapidly. So we have a great guest today that is an expert in this, and he is really helping Jamaica, I guess, adapt as best as possible, and particularly Jamaican businesses, and then also making sure that we are as a country on the forefront, the cutting edge of AI, and this is something that I am very concerned about. I even had a meeting with my family's nonprofit organization with NEAT and the admins there, and we were talking about the curriculum that we're going to be adjusting and we're going to be changing in the near future. And it has to be founded in AI in some way, form, or fashion. And like, that is definitely my concern for the country, and particularly like our young people. And I always think in question is like, how competitive are our students against the students all around the world, around the Caribbean, the United States, China, wherever, and how do we stack up against them, our students, that is, our young people. And then as they move from being students and being young people into young adults, how do we stack up as a workforce, right? As a workforce, and in respect to our productivity, our innovation, and how does the average Jamaican worker compare to that of a young professional in Europe, in different parts of Africa, so on and so forth. And to me, AI is either going to aid in helping us catch up and be competitive, or it's going to widen the gap that perhaps already exists in respect to our young people, our education system, and then also in the competitive landscape, business landscape that's out there. And this is something that when me and my brothers talk about this stuff, like, in which we do kind of regularly, these are the type of conversations that we're having. And then even within my own team, I want to ensure that we are using these technologies as tools, not substitutes for our brains and how we do our jobs, but more so as tools and aiding us to be better at what we're doing, be more efficient. And, these are the concerns that I see on a regular basis, even as simple as emails that I receive. I'm sure you all at this point, hopefully, you can really tell when somebody just sends you this copy and paste version that came from some LLM, and you're just like, oh, come on. You could have put a little bit more effort into sending this email or responding to me, sort of thing. And it kind of goes back to something I said a few weeks ago. Like, this stuff is, in some ways, people think it's replacing them or making them look smarter when they're doing these email communications. And to the more savvy bunch of us, and those who are more aware, we just know it just doesn't do that. It doesn't make you look smarter, at least in my eyes. And so I try to, again, with my team that I have here, put them in a position of empowerment and using these tools and advancing their careers and just getting to the point where they become the best that they can possibly be in their careers. Throp Media and beyond, as a matter of fact. Of course, as we are getting the live stream warmed up, please let me know what city, what state, what country you're chiming in from. Would love to hear from you. And as we get ready to welcome our guest on the stream, I would encourage everybody, as we go through our conversation, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get them asked and also answered. And to start with, let's go through some comments here, and then I guess we can go ahead and get the show started. Why wait? What's going on, Lisa? Always nice to see you. Thank you for being on. Please listen to Ink Link, Throp Nation, lock in. That's right. Chris, what's up? Big up, Mr. Trop. Trop is in the building. Thank you, Chris. I know Strong Island is being represented in a real way. Sasha, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Georgina, what's going on? Hello, Throp and viewers. Sasha says, always tune in. Love your accent. Appreciate it. Lisa says, hi, Throp and Throppers, chiming in from sunny Connecticut. Good to know that you are getting some nice weather up there in the Northeast. We've been having a lot of overcast these last few days. And as I said, like, I was saying the week before, like, it was really, really bad. In terms of the wind, it got down to the low 70s, but super, super windy. But now it's like we've been having overcast from the morning. Sun comes out a little bit in the early afternoon and then back to overcast. And that's kind of the way it's been the last 3 days or so here in Negril, at least. Charles, what's happening? I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time. Thanks for hopping on. Happy Thursday, Throp and Throppers watching from New York. Sasha says, looked at the Pinnacle, how them do that building. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Really, really impressive. And as I've been saying, it's a game changer for Jamaica. And I think it is taking Jamaica into just a whole other echelon. And I think that development has really inspired a lot to come that's coming down the pipeline, as a matter of fact. Georgina says AI will be beneficial and additional dangerous if not used properly. I think that's a fair statement. What's going on, Courtney? Blessings to you, my friend. Me and my baby miss our Travelers family. Can't wait to welcome you back, Courtney, excuse me. Georgina says more regulations needed to govern AI, especially with kids. Pauline chiming in from Toronto, Canada. Nice to have you on. Sasha says, I don't understand this AI thing. Don't sound clear. Hopefully in our conversation today, we can clear up some misnomers, or even just shed some light on some questions that people have. Sasha's viewing from Port Moore. Nice to have you. Nicardo is chiming in from Cleveland, Ohio /Jamaica. Georgina says some of big companies are 100% about AI for drafting emails, calendars, etc. Yeah, even in the last few weeks, there have been some really, just really stellar integrations and that I've been using. Maybe people were already doing these integrations, but I recently switched over completely from ChatGPT to Claude, and it is like complete game changer. It's like a night and day for me in terms of my workflow and what Claude is able to do and how I communicate with Claude versus ChatGPT. And you think LLM, they could all do the same thing. I found in my experience in switching over, it's like, I wouldn't go as far as saying night and day, but it's definitely a big change for me. And I literally canceled my it sounds so bad, but I canceled my ChatGPT subscription, and then I paid for a full year with Claude. Like, that is how big of a difference that I saw with Claude and my workflow. So pretty impressive, and it's just like that, very, very immediate for me. Peter listening from Tennessee. Vivine watching from Palm Beach, Florida. Awesome. Mocha Bright TV coming from Queens Village, New York. Awesome. Love listening to you as usual. Keep it up. Thanks so much. What's going on, Mark? Hey, Throp and Throppers. Mark here chiming in from Brampton, Canada. Jay Fitz, what's going on? Hi, Throp and family, chiming in from Atlanta. Kim Possible, happy Friday Eve, watching from Brooklyn, New York, in the building. Nicardo Smith, how is the war and the oil restrictions affecting Jamaica? I'm going to leave that one for a Sunday question. But thank you for the question on about that. This is something that I think we all should be at the front of our minds, because this situation that we're finding ourselves in is constantly evolving, new information, new things happening every day. But this is something, of course, for the well-thinking Jamaicans out there, even world citizens at this point, it's this is all something that we need to pay attention and be prepared in some way. And it's even affecting AI, which I'm sure we're gonna get into shortly. The oil restrictions and the price of oil, as a matter of fact, energy costs are going up, and of course, AI takes a lot of energy. Stacey MB joining from Toronto, Canada. As a fellow AI advisor, I'm looking forward to hearing your guest speaker's perspective on the environmental and human rights impact of AI. All right. Thank you for that. Gwen, chiming in from Sturgis. Am I saying that right? Sturgis, Michigan. Awesome. Awesome. How to use AI agents to manage your workflow. Perhaps we'll get into that in our conversation here. We can talk about that all day. Trust me, like this stuff is very, very impressive for me. And I'm a little bit of a tech person, but not on the far end of the spectrum. Let's put it that way. I'm for sure at best a novice when it comes to this stuff. Moby says we need AI robots to work on our farms in Jamaica. I think that's a great idea. Maybe we'll talk about that as well. I just saw this. I don't know if you guys saw this. This startup company. Oh my gosh, I wish I wrote it down. They used AI for these collars that they put on. It was like an agricultural AI, and that has hardware. But anyway, they put these collars on these cows, and they were able to basically monitor where the cows were, and then also herd it. Maybe our guest is aware of it, but I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is like ridiculous, amazing. Like, I mean, what an incredible, what an incredible integration that is, right? And who could have saw that coming? A farmer using AI like that. So anyway, let's keep rolling here. Val says, hi, Throp. Good to be here listening from Atlanta. Brick Axel, hey, Throp and Throppers. Okay, I see our guest is ready here, ready to roll. Let me see if I can fix this iPad real quick. And let me see. I got a teleprompter that we're using here. Hopefully it helps a little bit if we can get it working. If not, we're going to go without it. Yeah, I think we're going to roll without it. All right. So today, as you can tell by the, hold on, I lost my mouse here. AI technology is not being my friend right now. All right, 1 second here. There we go. Couldn't find my mouse. All right, so today we have a guest, and as you're aware by the thumbnail and the title, we are talking all AI, and we have an AI expert in Mr. Mark Frankson, and he's a chief AI consultant at Transcend AI Consulting. He has an AI conference actually coming up next month, which I'm sure we're going to hear all about. At least I want to learn all about this stuff, and I'm glad to see that there are Jamaican entities and people taking this very, very, very seriously. And I think it's great that we're able to have an expert on this platform. It is my pleasure to welcome Mark to the platform. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, Throp. I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Good. And I think this is great timing. Like I said, you got your conference coming up, which I want to talk all about.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can tell by the comments, people are very, very interested in this subject and very, very interested to learn all about AI, especially from your perspective and your experience.
Yeah.
But to start with, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the audience, and then we can kick off our conversation.
Thank you very much. So, Mark Frankson, and I am the chief AI consultant at my firm, which is Transcend AI Consulting. And we started this firm really to help educate businesses about AI. The conversations I was having and the things I were hearing from, I heard from business leaders a couple of years ago when we started was that they didn't know about AI, they didn't understand it, and so they were keeping it at arm's length. And so I'm a businessman, but I have a tech background. And so the tech part of my brain was screaming, no, you can't ignore this. It's not one of those things that you can leave to the side. You have to at least have it on your radar. You may not want to incorporate it right away, but you have to know about it and understand it. And so I've been championing that cause here, which is AI in businesses. Right? There are many other aspects that I'm sure we'll touch on in some of it. As I heard you brought up the cows and for the farmers, so we can touch on a lot of different things. But where I work is AI for business leaders or for organizations and how they can use it to thrive. Another hat that I wear is I work in manufacturing. So I have a garment manufacturing company. So two completely different sides of the coin. I live here in Jamaica with my family, with my kids, enjoy roaming about the country, going to river, going to beach, doing whatever we can to enjoy life today. That's me.
Awesome. I love it. And I don't want to make any assumptions, and I hope I'm not insulting anybody here. But if we could start at the very, very base level, and if you could just explain to us what exactly AI is and artificial intelligence is.
Okay. I'm going to narrow down my definition to generative AI because that's the thing that has gone mainstream and most persons have access to now. But in general, artificial intelligence is machines that simulate the way humans learn and think to give an output. The difference is because machines have so much computing power behind them, they can do it a lot faster. And because they can do it a lot faster, they can do more. So human beings learn. If you think about, babies and toddlers, they notice something, you tell them what it is, they make an association, this is a cat. And gradually, by seeing more and more cats or dogs or animals, they get to learn what these things are. It's the same thing with artificial intelligence. It can learn on its own by giving it what we call training data. We give it training data, and it soaks it all up and does a huge amount of analytics, or can do a huge amount of analytics on it to then give us an output. So when we say, write a letter to request a job interview, it has seen enough letters requesting a job interview, then it can pull something together. And it generates that based on information it has already learned.
Gotcha. And why now has it been going so crazy, if you will? And we're hearing about it literally every day, every hour, there's something with AI. And why has this happened at this level, at this rate in the last, say, 2 to maybe 3 years at this point?
Right. So the thing is, AI has been around from the 50s. It's been around for quite some time. And, I'm on a journey to rewatch old series and old movies, and I'm hearing it pop up when I never heard it or realized it before from years ago, right? A couple of things have happened. Back in the early 2000s, we would have been hearing about big data, right? These were companies that were collecting all sorts of data, but they didn't necessarily have the bandwidth to use it, right? So we developed big data, or we collected this thing called big data. And recently, what developed was called algorithm. So computing power got better and better, and machines can do more things now. And really, it's an intersection of computing power and the data that has already collected that allowed us to have this. AI has been around for a while, but we didn't have all parts of the recipe to make it go as mainstream as it is now, right? So that it's available in the hands of the ordinary man. And I think there's a lot of hype about it now because it's really given each individual the power to do so much more. Things that you would normally have to rely on a consultant or outsource into an entire company. You have that in the palm of your hands now, and that is exciting. That is extremely exciting.
Definitely. And we hear a lot of, somebody already asked about the environmental impact, which I'm sure we're going to get into very shortly. But like moving a little bit to the hardware side of things, and you hear a lot about like these chips, and two aspects of that I want to touch on and get your perspective.
Yeah.
We hear about the company NVIDIA and the chips that they're making, and we hear about Taiwan. And so if you could explain the importance first of NVIDIA and the technology that they are making, and how the impact of their technology is really changing all of our lives, whether we realize it or not.
So NVIDIA and the chips that they've developed is really what powers these AI platforms, right? It gives them if you can think of it in plain language, they're super chips that allow AI platforms to do so much more. And the thing about NVIDIA is that not everybody can do what they do, right? Not everybody can create these chips that AI platforms can use. And so they really have the market on it. Everybody is depending on them, and maybe just a few other players, but they're the ones that's controlling and certainly in the lead where AI chip development is concerned, and they're not slowing down. So we've almost become kind of dependent on this one company.
And what do these chips actually do that NVIDIA is making?
It powers the AI platforms, right? So in very simple terms, it gives more computing power to generative AI. You mentioned earlier, what impact is this having on the environment? These chips and the machine, the hardware behind it, they need so much energy, so much power to do a little bit of work. Personally, I think AI is having a horrible impact on the environment. It is it is such a negative. My fear is that as humans, we are going to bypass the negative impact and solely look at the magic of AI, that it's going to become almost like petroleum. We have solar power, which is clean energy, and would have access to it if we focused on developing the technologies to really harness that. There's absolutely no reason that we should still be so dependent on petroleum, but it was easy. It was easy. We discovered something that was magical, and it was easy. And my fear is that we're doing the same thing with AI. Instead of pausing and slowing down to figure out how can we develop this in a more responsible way, so that it's not having such a harmful effect on the environment, we're powering ahead.
Gotcha. And I just reading this article of, it's particularly in the United States, these AI companies are just buying up just hectares of land to build these data centers that, like you were saying, they suck so much energy and take so much power to run. And there was this lady, I forget what state it was. I don't know if you saw it, but she owns like this farmland, and she was offered like 20-something
25 million or something like that,
5 billion US, and she said no. And I was like, man, we need more of that, to be honest, because it's going to force them to figure this thing out, to figure out this energy problem. And to somebody's earlier question, look at the situation that we're in now with oil, right? And the price of energy is going up. And I guess my question to you is like, how do you see this affecting the progression of AI, these data centers, and then also the costs associated with them? Because we already know like literally hundreds of billions of dollars are going into these AI companies. And then even with oil, I hope I'm not getting too far ahead of myself, but even with the oil prices going up and seemingly who knows where that ceiling is going to be, the cost of doing everything is going to go up. And they're even talking about raising the interest rates. And as you know, these companies take out these massive, massive, massive loans, and it's going to cost them more money to get more money. So would love to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to become a runaway train. And I think somebody commented on it while you were reading that I love AI and I'm an advocate for using it as a tool as much as anybody else, but we need regulation. And in addition to AI regulation, we need oversight on all these things that affect and impact AI. In the end, I think it's the individual who's going to pay the price. The regular person is going to pay the price because energy prices are going to go up. We're going to see this demand and increased demand by these big data centers, and the companies, the conglomerates, the governments who hold the keys to the energy are going to be offered more money, and they're going to pay more money for it. And so from one end, they're seeing that the demand, they can charge more based on that demand. But as the resource becomes scarcer and scarcer, then what does that mean for the average human being, the average household? It means that the prices are also going to go up. And so I think we need to petition, we need to encourage, we need to advocate, not for AI and AI companies to just stop, but for us to consider seriously what is the things going to look like 15 years, 20 years from now, and not make the same mistakes again.
Oh, well said, well said. And you really stated a lot of good points there. And with that, I want to bring this to Jamaica. And you're in this obviously a lot deeper than I am, and I want to learn from your perspective. How are you seeing Jamaica and particularly Jamaican companies using this, hopefully to Jamaica's advantage, as I was alluding before in my opening, but hopefully using it to our advantage to become more competitive as a country right across the spectrum?
Okay, so I think there is a tremendous amount of opportunities for local companies to use this, and especially the small and medium-sized enterprises, the ones who don't have marketing departments, who don't have the big budget to do a lot of the things that you can so easily do with AI. And we're still talking about generative AI, right? So not necessarily building your own AI platform, not necessarily, doing something that is localized, but using some of the off-the-shelf tools that are available, like Claude, like Perplexity, like Midjourney, and a variety of others to create images and video and stuff like that. The key there is for a small business to be able to use these and present themselves and their products as to package themselves in a way that it'll be more appealing to a wider audience, right? Let's take AI out of the picture for a second, right? Okay. You go to the store and you see two products in front of you. Let's say it's a gizzada, right? And one gizzada is in a little plastic bag and it's tied at the knot and it's on the shelf, versus another gizzada that is well packaged. It's in the plastic bag, but it has the professional seal. It has, a logo printed on there and it's labeled and everything. I don't know about you, but most people are likely to pick up the one that looks more professionally done because it hints at a factory, it hints at a process that provides a different quality product. And so it's the wrapping, it's the packaging that makes a difference. I think AI has the potential to do that for small businesses without the big overhead cost. One individual, and I don't know if you saw this article, that Claude Anthropic, their marketing department is one individual using AI.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right? So one individual can do so much more. The way I like to think of it and how I like to share it with people, right? Think of AI as an intern, right? If it's just you or you have a small company with 5 and you give them each AI tools that are relevant to their work, essentially what you could be giving them is an intern. AI does 70% of the work, right? And should always be reviewed by a human being. But it can do so much that it allows the person using it to do more, to accomplish more. And I don't want to get caught up in the hype here. It's not the end all. We still need our sensibilities. We still need to be the thought leaders in whatever we're doing. But the tool gives us a boost. And for small businesses who don't have a lot of resources, for a set of people who are immensely creative, right? I just see this as a game changer for our country.
I know you gave the example, or more an analogy with the Gazada, but could you give us like a specific example of how a small business in Jamaica, let's say a small business owner who is not college educated, but they've been in business for a handful of years. How would they be able to use it? How do we get them to use it in this iterative way, right? And I think that is like the very important part of this process of not just pressing enter once and like, all right, we just move forward, but just this drilling down practice, if you will, with open example from the first thing that comes to the top of your head.
Right. So I can reach back to my company, my garment manufacturing company, and what we're doing, right? Typically, if we need to present to a client, we would we manufacture uniforms. We would need to design the garment. We'd need to make the garment. We would get some models, get a photographer, and we'd go out into Kingston and find a place to shoot, to take some pictures so that we can pull together this presentation, right? If we're out for more than half a day, we need to get lunch for the team. If we need to ensure that we have a space for the young ladies, the models to change. All of this comes at a cost. The transportation, the lunch, the location, the models, the photographer, everything comes at a cost. With AI, with no education or with limited education, what we have done, we've been able to go in and speak to it. ChatGPT is called ChatGPT for a reason. You can chat to it. It's meant to be a back and forth conversation, right? And so I can go in now and without even typing, because there's a voice option to it, I can say to it, generate a photo with this look and this background, with this model and this skin tone, with this garment, and it gives me something, right? It allows me to cut out the steps and the expenses of all that I just shared. Does that mean I still don't need a photographer? Absolutely not, because it's not perfect. And there will be situations where I need a photographer. There are situations where I'm doing a live presentation and I need models. But now it allows me to ideate and show my client something a lot quicker, a lot faster, with a lot less expense than before. And if the client looks at it and says, this is unacceptable, then we can go back to my office, or I can call my office and say, hey, do up another version of this and change this and change that, and email it to me so I can put it on the screen and show the client in 5 minutes. it's leveling the playing field in that regard for everybody. So back to your example, the average person can do this. Now, the biggest step is to try, to get started, to educate yourself a little bit. There's bits in there about, writing a proper prompt and knowing what to ask and giving all the details. So there's a little bit of learning that I think anyone who wishes to engage an AI platform in a meaningful way will need to learn, right? But you start by talking to it. And if it doesn't give you what you want, you can say, no, that's not quite it. Change this and change that, and keep going. So that, I think, it lowers the barrier and allows more people to access these tools and just do more than before.
And I think what you're saying is very, very, very powerful and very empowering, especially for these entrepreneurs and these small businesses. But before I continue with my question, I want to get your contact information, your website, so that people can visit it while we're having our conversation. Can you just give that to me, Mark?
Yes, it's Transcend. That's TRANSCEND with AI, WITHAI.com. Transcendwithai.com.
Okay, great. All right, we're gonna get that up while we have our conversation, so people can check out what you do.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that's a very, very powerful example. I think the challenge is like, how do we get people to try? And that question comes from a conversation I was having with my brother. He was on, oh man, I wish I remember the name of it. Remember, there was an AI conference, all-day conference, I think, earlier this week or last week. Are you familiar?
Oh, yes. It may have been Caribbean. I think I know which one you're talking about. The name is just not coming to me right now. Yeah.
So he was on it like literally all day listening in. And
or BizTech. Another one is called BizTech. It could have been that as well. Yeah.
And first, like, I'm so happy that people like yourself are taking the bull by the horns with this. Like, we need this so badly. Jamaica needs it so badly. And I'm just glad that we're just not letting it fly by us, right? First and foremost. The second aspect to that, he was telling me about this one presenter. He was in Thailand, and he was just saying, I think he was in Thailand, and he's originally from Trinidad, and he lives there now. And he was just saying how far behind we are as a region. And what they were doing over there is the government was doing free Claude classes in the mall. So you just go, you sit down, you learn. And I'm just like, I don't know of anything like that happening in Jamaica at all. Maybe even America. And so, and I'll give one, I would love to hear your response. And I was also listening to this other podcast, and I forget his name, but he was also talking about how far America is behind China. And the reason why we don't know about it or hear about it really from the American perspective is that nobody has gone to Wuhan since COVID, or nobody has gone to Shanghai or any of these places to see how integrated their robotics is in their daily life and AI, to really understand how far ahead, like just manufacturing right across the board, all of China is in respect to the United States. And kind of bringing it back to that Thailand example, I think about Jamaica, of course, and I think about, like, man, what are we doing at scale? What are our intentionalities behind our efforts in saying, like, hey, we want to be the leader in this, and we want to be ahead in technology, and we want our students and our young people to be XYZ ABC, but what are the efforts behind that? And I haven't heard of anything of that nature. And it goes back, like you said, like with your example that you just gave, it's very, very powerful. Like, and perhaps people don't really know the power that they have in their hands, in the palm of their hands with their telephones, but it's getting them to use it, and then also perhaps using it in the right way, for lack of a better term.
Yes. Yeah. And it's reasons why I come on shows like this, because my first point is education. And It's funny that I never thought about it. You just gave me a brilliant idea. I made note of it.
Okay.
That free classes, whether it's by me or a few of the professionals who are in the same era like myself, getting together and identifying some areas of our nation that could use AI but don't have access to it, don't have access to go online and pay for a course or take a workshop. How can we engage them? I don't see that happening right now. I see the sorry, let me correct myself. The JBDC, I know, has been doing tremendous work in digital transformation. So it's not just AI, but they've been going around the country and teaching businesses about how they can digitally transform what it is that they're doing. And I believe it's free, but don't quote me on that. I don't want the JBDC to send me a bill for any such thing. But I want to touch on two things you've said. We have to be a little bit more intentional about what we want. We have to, I think we rush too much into things. We need to pause and ask ourselves, what do we want our students who are graduating in 10 years to be equipped with? Because they need to start learning about that from now. We can't wait until the year before they graduate and then say, oh, you have to learn this. We have to look and see where the world is going and think about, and I believe this is what they do in a lot of these Asian countries. It's why you have places like Singapore that's a financial hub, because they thought through what they wanted and planned to get there, right? Another point I wanted to touch on was when you said, about Jamaica and us being left behind. I think we can get left behind in two ways. We can get left behind by not engaging with these platforms and using the tool, learning to use them and actually using them for whether it's competitive advantage in any way, right? As a business or as an individual trying to get a job. Already companies are asking for AI literacy as a requirement. They're looking for that on resumes. Some of these companies don't even know what it is, but they ensure that it's there and as a requirement in the job description because they don't want to be left behind. But there's also this idea of we should also be creating platforms. We shouldn't just be users of the technology, right?
Great.
I was at a speaking engagement that the PIOJ, Vision 2030 Jamaica, put on the other day. And the idea of how do we protect our cultural authenticity in the age of AI came up. And I started off by playing a reggae song. And everybody heard it and thought this was the latest coffee song. But it was AI generated. And none of us knew if that was created by a fellow in Taiwan who likes our culture. And so if somebody else can so easily replicate our culture using this tool, then what does that mean for us? If they're creating it, then they can get to the point where they're controlling the narrative. They're controlling the trends. They're controlling, what is happening with our culture. And so we need to also have a say in that. And we can only do that if we're also creators, not just of the assets that come out of using AI, but creating platforms that dictate, that have a say in how things are produced.
No, great point. And so like that was my next question before we went down this whole rabbit hole is I would love to know, and you can tell me whatever comes to your mind first, like what have been, in your view, an experience, like maybe the most innovative way you've seen AI be implemented in Jamaica, whether it's within an existing working environment or perhaps being the creator of a new business or platform or whatever have you.
I don't know that I've seen it yet.
Mm.
I see the opportunities.
I
So let me answer it a different way. One of the questions that I always get is, why should we adopt AI if it's going to end up replacing me. Right? This thing, you're telling me all this wonderful things about this thing that can do my job. Why should I take it on? I think there's an opportunity for everyone to be able to use the technology to either develop their company or themselves so that they're better at their job. Our jobs are going to evolve. So I just gave the example about music. Instead of thinking about it as if AI can now generate music, I'm talking the instruments, the lyrics, and the vocals, right? AI can now do that. Instead of thinking AI is going to replace our artists, think about giving young artists and aspiring artists this tool where they are focused on doing the instrumentals, but they need a little help with the vocal. You get AI to pop in and do the vocals, and you're a producer. That's what you want to do. You want to focus on the music, you do that. Or flip it. You want to do vocals, but you can't find anybody to do the music for you or give you a rhythm. Use AI to create that, and you continue to improve yourself so you have a product that's beautifully wrapped and packaged that you can then sell yourself, right? Earlier, when I just started, one of the young ladies I spoke to, she was a recording secretary at an organization. And at the time, what was really popular, what had just come on the market, were all these AI note takers.
Yeah.
And she thought, if AI note takers are now coming to meetings and taking notes and sending them off, I won't have a job. And we talked about it and ended the call with the perspective that you've been doing this for years. All these AI note takers should work for you. You should be in charge of the AI note takers, that since you can't be more than one place at once, if 2 meetings are going on, you attend one and send your AI note taker to the other one, let the notes come back to you. You be the one to format them and erase all the sensitive information that you know the meeting participants aren't going to want to be a part of the meeting. The AI doesn't know that. It's going to take all the, all the jokes that people are making and all the things that people say on the side and include that in there. But you position yourself to use it and make yourself indispensable as the human that is bringing to the table things that AI cannot. So long answer to your question. I haven't seen yet a very innovative way locally. I think the cow example you gave when we talk about it, that's a very innovative way, but that's not local.
Right.
And I think there's such a massive opportunity for us to use this tool to be more creative, to execute more on the things that we want to do. But in order for us to do that, people need to be aware of it.
Yes.
They need to not be afraid of it. And they just need to tip their toe in the water and test it out. Once you get a feel for what it can do, I promise you, the ideas are going to start flowing, right? No AI platform came out and said, hey, you can use this on your cows. But somebody saw what it can do and thought, hey, if I were to do this and do that, then here are the things that I could benefit from. And before you know it, they have it on their cows, and they're tracking where they go and how much time they spend in this area, and then they can use that to plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what we were saying, and I see Simone here, Metro Atlanta Homes and Loans. She's saying that free classes would be awesome, and I think this is like this. It goes back to this is getting our people to use this literally every single day. And I could see it, I've been to Thailand a few times. I could see going into a mall and people, and there being Claude classes there, and you just sign up and you sit down and you learn about Claude, you learn about coding or whatever have you. And just like the cow example, it's just like taking like me and you could never come up with the cow idea. Like, at least I'll speak for myself. I'm not a farmer. I don't know anything about cows or pastures or anything like that. But you take somebody's mind who is in this industry or in this business, and you combine it with this technology, they're going to come up with something innovative. But it goes back to, how do we get our people to use them? use it. And maybe there is something in, as in your first analogy with the Gazada, maybe there's something in the Gazada industry that, again, you nor I could ever think of, but the
Mhm.
Gazada makers aren't using this technology like we're using it on an everyday basis and kind of pushing the envelope, if you will, on this. So I think the question really does come back to is like, how do we get our people to use it regularly?
Yeah.
I
Let
always
me
think
share
that.
another quick story.
Yeah, please,
Real
please.
quick. And this is just, going further to my point of, once you're aware, then you have a better ability to link the solutions to the problem, right?
Yeah.
So when I first started using ChatGPT and I learned that it could look at a picture and identify the things in the pictures, it knew what it was. I'm in my warehouse and we had a spillage of buttons, right? So somebody knocked over a tub with a large amount of buttons. And so the task wasn't just to scoop them up and put them back in a bag. We needed to know how many. Like they were dispersed. We needed to know how many buttons. And nobody wanted to take on that task of counting hundreds and hundreds of buttons. And the idea came to me. Let's take a picture of it with chat and give it to ChatGPT and say, count how many buttons are in this photo. And we did that. And it did. And just to test it, we did a small batch first of about 100. And we took a picture and ChatGPT said it was 100. And then I gave it to somebody and said, you count that. Because we needed to have some kind of base, right? You count that. And they counted it and it came close. It wasn't exactly 100 if I'm being honest. And we learned that we needed to make sure they weren't overlapping, that everything was flat and it could see each individual. But hey, just like that, we now had a tool that we could use because I was aware of the power of the technology and I became aware of the problem. And those two things need to exist in the same mind or the same grouping. It doesn't have to be one person, but the same group of people thinking. And so awareness, having this thing on your radar is a huge part of being able to use it, not just go in and type stuff, but using it to innovate and solve problems.
And now I want to talk about your company and how your company is helping others and particularly helping other businesses in AI and to adapt it in their operations.
Yeah. And so we are big on education. And in fact, that's the space that I thrive in and most likely will stay in. We're not developing AI technology. I'm not building out any platforms. What we're doing is saying to business leaders and organizations, this is what the tool is. These are the possibilities. But also, here are some things that you need to consider. These are the ethical implications around AI. These are the legal implications around AI technology. When you use AI and you create an image, you can post it on social media, sure, but so can anyone else because you don't own it. You can't copyright it. And this is why, at least for now, photographers will still have a place, because if you want to own something, then you hire a photographer and get the rights to it, right? You can't own the rights of anything that you create now. Even the music that's being generated, you can generate a song and put it on Spotify or YouTube and get the income, but you can't own it, right? And so we educate businesses and companies on what this thing is so that they can make better decisions. Do we incorporate AI at this time or not? Right? We also help educate their operational staff. These are the things that you don't want to put into AI because it's sensitive. And we go through different use cases. We show different examples. And one of the biggest things that I like to do is to make people aware. I do examples where I clone my voice, where I show deep fakes, where we go through a lot of things and people are astounded because they didn't realize the technology could do that. And if you're not aware that the technology can do that, then someone may be able to slip one past you, right? A case that we use is this story a couple years ago about a fellow in Hong Kong that got a call from his manager to transfer $25 million to an account. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. That's not procedure. But then he got brought into a conference call, a Zoom conference call with his manager and all his senior managers and said, hey, this is an emergency. We need you to do that. You know what he did? He believed his eyes. And he transferred $25 million to then find out it was AI. It was all a hoax. Wow. And I can't help but thinking, had that employee been sensitized on the fact that this technology could now replicate your senior members in your company, so you have to be extra careful, he may have paused again and said, I'm not doing that. And then from the company side, what else are you going to do? Are your current policies sufficient to safeguard yourself? So we also help with writing an AI policy for companies to say, this is how you guide your employees on using the technology. It's great. It does a lot of wonderful things, but if not used properly, if not implemented properly, it may be your detriment.
No, great example. And as you're alluding to, it's only going to get better and better and better and harder to tell the difference. And we need to continue to be at the forefront of all of this. And now you also have a conference coming up in April as well. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So I'm very excited about this. It is called AI and the Future of Work. And so I've been talking about how our company got started and what we do. And really that was to answer the question of what is AI? But now the conversation is shifting, certainly from the perspective of companies and organizations, to not what is it anymore, but how do we really use it? Can we really see any ROI coming out of these things, or is it all hype? And so we're having this conference to go through a couple key topics. How do you onboard the technology? How do you really and truly implement AI? Talk about some of the ways you're going to deal with your people. How do you bring on this technology, but still keep human beings at the forefront? You have people who have been working for you for years and years, helping you to build your business. Are you really going to ease them out and use this $20 per month technology to do all the work now? So it's a balancing act, right? Because we see the opportunities there to save on overhead, but people still matter. And people should definitely still be at the core of whatever we're doing and using this technology as a tool. We're going to be having a Riverside chat, which is a fireside chat, but we're localizing it and calling it a Riverside chat because we're not having a fireplace, which is a one-on-one conversation about ensuring that exploring how we value humans now. Right? The idea is the more and more AI is doing tasks, then what's left for humans to do? And how do we value them? How do we look at productivity now that AI tools can accelerate that? Do we keep giving our employees more work? That's one option. Or do we do the same amount of work and go to a 4-day work week? That's another option. So how can we shape this? And it's not for the AI to do. It's for us as humans, as thought leaders, to determine how we want to use this tool. And again, to my earlier point, I want us to be very intentional about it, because if we're not careful, this is the most powerful tool that has been in the hands of the everyday man. For as long as I know, if you look back in history, nothing has been so powerful, except maybe for weapons, that is available to the everyday man. And I think we just need to be very careful and intentional about how we're going to use it. And so we have a mix of panel discussions talking about those things. We have some live demonstrations. Microsoft is going to be showing off their AI tool. Google is going to be showing off Gemini. Salesforce is going to be showing off their stuff. We're kicking off the day with a DJ who's going to be spinning AI-generated music and some real music, because we can't leave out the real things. And it should be a day of just looking ahead and trying to see what are the things we need to be doing now and being careful about to ensure we have a workplace that we want to be in and that our people will want to be in the future.
And when and where is your conference?
This is going to be at the AC Hotel on April 23rd from 8:30 to 3:30.
Okay, awesome. And people can find out about it on your website on the screen?
Yes, you can go to transcendwithai.com and or LinkedIn page or Instagram page, and it will take you to the itinerary link that will where you can buy tickets.
Okay, great. And I'm going to encourage you, anybody in the audience, if you have any questions for Mark, please put it in the comments. We have a few questions, a few minutes left to ask Mark any questions. And you had mentioned some pretty big names with Google, Salesforce. And these are all representatives that will be at the conference?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Coming now to do live demonstrations of their tools, and we're going to be engaging with them in conversations to just determine and explore some of these topics around AI and human beings and our place in the world or in the workplace as we go forward in the age of AI.
And who would you say this conference is for?
So this is for, it's targeted at organizations who still have questions about what to do with AI. Now that we know what it is, how do we implement it? How do we develop a strategy around it? So it's for decision makers. I mean, even entrepreneurs, but it's more from a business perspective rather than an individual perspective. Most of the topics that we're going to be discussing is about the workplace. Individuals are always welcome to come, but I think the value to be gained from the discussions and the live demos that are going to be showed are from organizations who want to make a move with AI, but they're not quite sure. They still have some questions. Is this worth it? How do I do it? What do I need to be thinking about if I go ahead and do it? Am I going to be creating a legal liability? What are the ethical implications about this thing? How do I treat my people? Those are some of the things we're going to be doing a deep dive into.
I was going to ask, are any regulatory bodies going to be there?
Regulatory, no, I can't think of any regulatory bodies. We do have representatives from several areas, so it's not just tech people. In fact, it's not a tech conference. Okay. We have people from the legal fraternity, people from HR, business leaders who are going to be coming and giving their perspectives. We have a few people who are flying into Jamaica. So it's a mix of local and international individuals that are coming to share their thoughts and perspectives.
Perfect. Because I think that goes to how we were opening up with this conversation about the framework and the regulation that seemingly you were advocating for, both on the environmental side of things and then also on the ethical side of things. And perhaps this is the time that Jamaica starts thinking about these things now before it evolves, divulges, whatever word you want to use there, into something that is beyond our control.
I just shared the link to in the chat, if that can be shared with the audience as well.
Yeah, let me put it out there put it up here right now so everybody can see.
But listen, man, you have given me with this idea about pre-classes. I'm excited about exploring that a little bit more. I also believe, I have been the recipient of so much in my life, so much mentorship, so much guidance, so much has been given to me. Even with business, people giving me business means that you've trusted me and given me a chance, right? And I'm all for giving back and providing. And there is nothing for me to lose from setting up some free classes for others to be able to learn and get into this thing. I think this is a brilliant idea. Awesome. As we were talking about, getting Jamaicans on board.
That's right.
It just needs some structure to it.
Awesome. I love it. Let's close out here with just a few questions from the audience.
Okay.
Xlaw asks, what's the big difference between ChatGPT and Claude?
Okay. So from my perspective, there is a big difference in the company and the philosophy of the different companies. OpenAI has one philosophy, and it does impact the product, which is ChatGPT, and Claude has a different philosophy on how AI should be disseminated and used, and that has an impact on their product. The tangible difference that you can see is, for me, Claude is more, funny enough, human in the way it writes for me, right?
Yes,
And
I
I
agree.
think Claude is building out, not Claude, Anthropic is building out an ecosystem that really gives us humans tools to easily use it more, right? So Claude Code, Claude Workspace, there are a bunch of different things that you can use Claude to do, and it just feels a little bit more natural. OpenAI is, I mean, it's my workhorse. I've been using it for quite some time. They've just shut down their video platform, and I think they've been kind of stuck in a certain mindset. Claude, for me, feels like somebody who does the same thing, but they're a little bit more enlightened and approaches things a little bit differently. And so I like the output from Claude a little bit more than ChatGPT. But make no mistakes, those are still two of the largest platforms and are very, very valuable.
And I don't want to brush over the philosophical point that you made, but without getting too political, could you, from your perspective, explain the difference in the philosophies and how those companies are being ran? If you can avoid the political aspect of it.
How can I?
Right.
I don't know. I feel like OpenAI is more about the financial opportunities that are available.
I think that's fair.
Anthropic is a little bit more conscious about the impact on human lives. And certainly that's just what I see on the surface, all right?
Yeah.
And on what they've presented. There can be a little bit of cynicism and saying, you know, at the back end, they're all big companies and they think the same. But certainly from what is presented, one seems to be a little bit more interested and a little bit more cautious in how human beings devour the technology.
Well said. Well said. I think it's worth, I think a lot of people just use these tools, but I think more so the tech people who are really in it, this kind of thing matters to them a little bit more, whereas the average consumer, we're more perhaps concerned with output. And, you have ethical developers and you have, like you said, developers that just care about the bottom line and the dollars and cents sort of thing. So thank you for that. Another question that we have here from Inklink says, Mark, are there any SLMs rather than LLMs for JA consumption developed in Jamaica? And can you explain SLM, LLM, just so everybody's understanding?
I'm sorry. Yes. So an SLM is a small language model and an LLM is a large language model. And so ChatGPT is an example of a large language model AI platform. And SLMs are becoming more popular. They're a little bit more agile. They're not as expensive to run, and they seemingly can do just as much as the LLMs for the average person, right? So here is you have these large language models, and we're asking it to write letters and do little birthday songs, right? And an LLM can accomplish that. I don't know of any that I would say is better for that's for JA consumption, developed in JA. I don't know of any. I'm sorry. There's none that crossed my mind.
Okay. Fair enough. Got a few more questions coming in here. This is from Shauna. She says, greetings, just joining question. For those who are not tech savvy, how can one keep up with ever evolving AI? It can feel intimidating.
It can. Even for somebody in my space, I'll be honest with you, 6 months ago, things looked very different. from how they look today. It is evolving constantly and at such a rapid pace that it's easy to fall behind. But here's what I do: I read, right? Uh, don't try and read everything. Try and find an article that you can read once a week. I also listen to podcasts. That's another easy way to understand and keep abreast of what's happening.
Do you have any, sorry, as you said that, do you have any recommendations, either periodicals or podcasts that people
I do, but
out?
if you give me 2 seconds, I need to just
take
into
your time.
Spotify to tell you. I don't know the names
Wow.
off the top of my head, but I can tell you the ones that I listen to quite often. All right, here they are. Here's my list. AI Today is one, and let me tell you who this is by, so that I'm giving you AI Today. It's by AI and Data Today, right? That's one podcast. And there's another one called Everyday AI, and this is a daily podcast, and that's by what's this guy's name? I can't zoom in. With Jordan Wilson. Everyday AI with Jordan Wilson are two of my go-tos, right? But I would encourage you to, as you're reading articles, as you're listening to podcasts, a general thing that I found works for me, and I would encourage everybody to do this. Get familiar with one of the major platforms, right? These large language models, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Perplexity. Get familiar with one of them, and then go seek out an AI that is doing that's in an area that's of interest to you. Whether that is work, so let's say you're in finance, what is the AI that's leading the way in finance? Or maybe it's not work related at all. Maybe it's it's sports. Is there something in sports that I can follow up on and keep abreast on? It's going to be difficult to stay on top of everything. But if you're into production, find that one tool that is into video production or doing music. And keep those two things at the forefront: a general AI platform and something that's more specialized. And so once you are in it and you're playing around these things and you're reading an article a week and you're listening to a podcast every other day, I think you will be as abreast as you can be without feeling too overwhelmed.
Great advice. Yeah, great advice, and thank you for the recommendations. I put it in the comment section there if anybody's interested. Another question here from Fame M. How will AI impact the BPO sector?
Okay. So we have I think Jamaica has a unique window here. We're a service-driven economy, and BPO is a big part of that. A lot of people will be able to use AI, and not a lot of people, a lot of companies will be able to use AI, possibly instead of real human beings. Right? There are AI platforms right now that you can use to make a call and talk about your product. My company, I have an AI receptionist, right? And I can plug in a bunch of numbers and it will call around these places. And based on a knowledge base that I've given it, it will answer all the questions that you may have. And if it can't answer the questions, it can then set up an appointment for you to talk to a human being. Okay? There lies that possibility for BPOs to start trending towards this thing. I don't think the tool is quite there yet. I think AI still have a few glitches. AI still hallucinates. And if we're talking about a client-facing tool that's giving out information that the client is going to rely on, you want to fix some of those things. But I see the potential, and I could see where the BPO sector could maybe have a base layer of AI employees that's doing a lot of these calls. And when the conversation gets to a point where it needs a more nuanced answer, or the topic is a little bit more complicated, it's then transferred to a human employee. That may mean a reduction in their overall overhead of staff. That's my humble opinion, based on the tools that are available now and where we see things trending. AI, we're getting to the stage of agentic AI. More and more efforts are being put into AI agents that can do more things. And so human beings may be relegated to positions that are more strategic and creative.
Great answer. Great answer. Are you okay on time? We got 2 more questions. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This one is from Stacy Ann. Can you speak about protecting our IP when using generative AI tools? What should we look for in terms and conditions for protecting our personal data, which can be used for personalized marketing?
I'm not gonna pretend to be an expert in this particular topic, especially where IP is concerned. From what I do know, the current laws do not give you any protection, right? The current laws, and I could be wrong on this, the current laws states that if an output is generated by an AI tool, belongs to that AI platform. So whether you use it to create art or music or a photograph, you have the right to use it, even if it contains personal information. So you uploaded your photo and then the AI generated it. That which was generated does not belong to you, and you have no right to copyright it. You have no claim on that. That is my understanding of the current laws that have been written. So you have to be careful in what you want to plug into any AI platform, because the output may not belong to you.
Interesting.
That's how you may have to protect yourself. Prevention.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you're aware that I think this started last year. The New York Times is suing, not Anthrop. They're suing ChatGPT, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, for the same thing, for copyright infringement. They're basically, that's all of these LLMs. They just took human history and they put it into these microchips and machines, and this is how we're able to get all the outputs.
Another thought came to me, and let me answer the question another quick way. If you have something that is yours and you're putting it into an AI platform, and you're thinking about how do you protect that which is yours, the input, not the output. How do you protect what you're giving it to then generate something else? Most platforms at the free level offers no protection. Once you're using a free version of ChatGPT, once you put something in, you're agreeing that they can use it as a part of their training material for their AI. When you get to the paid level, you have the option to turn that off, to say whatever it is that I input to you, whether it's artwork or my lyrics to a song, or my whatever it is that you want to protect, that it's not used as a part of the training data. Is that guaranteed? I don't know. But that's what they have in their terms and services. That's what they offer when you get to the paid level. They promise not to use it, and that it remains yours, not the output, the input.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that. All right, and this is our last question. This is from Georgina. How do you think AI will affect the banking sector, given that some older people don't have bank cards or smartphones?
So there's 2 ways to look at this, from the business side and from an individual side. From an individual side, I see a lot of risks. I see where AI can be used to advance scamming, where voices can be cloned, faces can be cloned. if I do a transaction, if I email my bank right now and to do a transaction, they will call me to verify it. But all I have to do is say yes or sure, I initiated that. And a few words. That may not be me. It's so easy to clone your voice these days that may not be me. So there are opportunities for scammers or people with ill intent to do something negative. And when we're talking about older people, they can be scammed out of their money. You now have tools that can create a whole persona. You can create and sound like I'm a bank employee. Put some sounds in the background that sounds like I'm in an office, and say I'm calling from XYZ. I can use generative AI to create IDs and change my photo to put me in a particular uniform, which is why I think awareness is key, even for older people. One of the things that we push when I'm doing my workshops is that you need to talk with your older family members, the older ones and the younger ones. Have some kind of a keyword, right? Or passcode, so that in certain situations, if somebody calls and asks for money, unless they hear that passcode, they don't have to worry about the technology. They just need to focus on, did I hear the word pineapple? And if I don't hear the word pineapple, I'm not giving you my credentials. I'm not going to help you because no matter how you sound or may appear to me because of the tools you're using, I didn't hear pineapple, and so I'm not doing it. And so there are some very low-tech solutions that we may have to implement to protect the older ones who, like you said, don't have smartphones or things like that. From a business perspective, I think it can transform the financial sector, because they now have the power to do a whole lot more analytics and get so much more personalized with the products that they offer. They can see what parts of this is serious computing power at their fingertips. And so if they're intentional about it, I think they can use the technology, use AI tools to really zone in on how they can market their products, how the people who don't have bank cards could possibly still do this stuff. And it takes us back to the conversation where I've been to China. This was pre-pandemic, and the way they use their version of WhatsApp, it's called WeChat. It's an all-in-one platform that they use to make purchases. They use it. It's not just to talk. They use it all over. And so there are opportunities for us to use develop the technology so that we can give access to more people who may not have bank cards, who may not have smartphones. There's a tremendous opportunity to innovate, is what I'm saying, from the business side of things. But they're going to have to take that on and make some decisions to do it.
Right.
But the opportunity is there, I believe.
For sure. Thank you for that, Mark. And I think we're going to leave it there. We went over the hour mark. I try not to keep the guests here for too long, but this is, trust me, we could go on and on and on about this. I would love to have you on again sometime in the future, perhaps
Absolutely.
After your conference. I think we have a lot more to talk about, and maybe even offline. We're doing some creative stuff here with me and my brothers. I'd love to tell you about what we're working on, and I think it's we haven't put it out in the public yet, but it's coming. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of this stuff that we're working on, and we're going to be putting it out soon. So I'll definitely reach out. I saw one more question come in, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This is from one of our channel members, Shauna. She says, not sure if this was discussed already. What are some of the disadvantages in certain businesses that doesn't integrate AI in the business structure / practices?
Okay. Brilliant question. It's the risk of getting left behind. And I don't want to sound like an alarmist, but the technology is here already. It's not coming. It's not a possibility. It is here already. And so for a business that decides not to incorporate AI, two things. Many things can happen, but here are the two main things that I think businesses should look out for. One, it means that you're operating in a space where others who are using the technology are saving on overhead, are saving on time because they can be more productive. Yeah, so when you are head to head with a competitor who's doing the same thing, they're able to do more using AI and do it faster using AI than you can. And so the question becomes, how long can you keep up by spending more money to do something slower when others are pushing ahead?
Right.
The other perspective is, think about your resources, your staff. Are you still going to be getting the best talent if you don't onboard AI technology? Because people want to go to companies that are progressive, that are moving forward. Would you today want to work for a company that don't use the internet? Can you imagine how much more difficult your life would be if you go to a company and they say, "Oh, we don't use Microsoft Office. We're not about that life." CUG, no man. give me a house phone number.
Right.
So it's also about attracting the best talent. Most companies want to attract the best talent, and the best talent is going to go where things are progressive, right? And so human beings are learning now, and this is what we're encouraging: AI literacy, to get on board with this thing called AI. But if organizations, and I don't force organizations to adopt AI. I preach about the possibilities and the opportunities, but I never tell anybody you must do this. You don't have to do it, but you're putting your business at risk. And one of the biggest risks is being left behind and losing whatever competitive advantage you might have had, because now the playing field isn't level anymore.
Great point. Great point. And I think that's a great question to end our conversation on. And just as a reminder for everybody, Mark is throwing an AI conference at the AC Marriott Hotel in Kingston on April 23rd. He has a really stellar lineup with some of the most innovative international AI companies, technology companies in the world that will be in attendance. I encourage you to visit his website, transcendwithai.com, to get more information on the conference. And if you're in town, definitely get your ticket. I think these are the sort of events, gatherings, networking that really is so important, particularly for the private sector, to ensure that we are not left behind. I don't even have to ask you. I know the networking at this conference is going to be top notch and stellar. And so I would really, really encourage you, if you're going to be in town, you're going to be around. It's one of those conferences. I would say, do your best to try and attend. And we don't want we don't want to be left behind in this, and definitely as a country. So thank you again, Mark, for coming on. Really appreciate you taking your time.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah. And as people are saying in the comments, we got to have you back on at some point in the future. We'll put that together.
And hopefully by then I'll be able to talk about some free AI classes that we've been giving away to those who need to know more.
I love it. All right. You have yourself a good evening, Mark, and good luck with your conference.
You as well. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Take care. Oh, that was really, really great. That was awesome. I learned a lot. And like I've been saying, I'm so happy to know and so happy to hear that this conference is taking place. And this is happening in Jamaica, because I mean, if we don't do it, when I say we, if like the private sector, an individual doesn't take up the mantle, so to speak, and do this, like, it doesn't happen. It really, really doesn't happen. And I'm really glad Mark is doing it, and he's very, very knowledgeable on this. This is our first conversation that we had. I don't know if you could tell, but just doing my research on him and learning about him, you could tell he just had the background and the pedigree for this stuff. And I'm glad he's on our team, right? And I'm glad we have somebody like him that is really pushing this thing forward. And this is something that we need to keep up with. Like, we really, really, really do. And like I said in the opening today, I completely switched from ChatGPT to Claude, because like my brother is just like, yo, Throp, you need to get on Claude, because he's doing like, my brother's a tech guy. He's a coder. He way more tech savvy than I am. And he was just using it. He's like, for you and what you're doing in your business, you got to use it. And I just started using it for like an hour. Within that first hour, I just canceled my ChatGPT subscription, bought a year-long subscription with Claude. Literally, for me, is like a night and day situation. And it's, I haven't looked back. It's like a real pleasure to work with this thing. So I think a lot of this thing too, it's about experimentation and being nimble and adapting, right? And just because ChatGPT or whatever LLM or whatever AI technology that you're using in your day-to-day is working for you doesn't necessarily mean that that should be the end all be all and you should stick to it because that's what you're used to. And I was very used to ChatGPT. And for me, I was just like, man, I don't want to learn or do this whole thing over again because ChatGPT knows me so well. ChatGPT, I call ChatGPT Lily. So Lily knows Throp so well. She knows Throp-X, she knows Throp Media, she knows Throp Real Estate, she knows the Throp channel, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, man, how am I going to teach this other computer all about who I am and what I do and how I do it and learn how I write, et cetera, et cetera. There's a way that you can port over the brain and everything that I've taught Lily ChatGPT over to Claude. And I did that in 2 seconds. And we are up and running. We are up and running, and I'm moving faster, quicker, at a higher quality than I was with ChatGPT. So I think that's just a good just example of just having this adaptability about us, especially in this time. I know a lot of questions were going in to the comment section about how do we keep up and how do we keep abreast of what's going on. And I think a lot of it is just kind of keeping your ear to the street, so to speak, but then also being very malleable, because I think sometimes you just kind of get comfortable and you get stuck, not in a rut, but you just get comfortable with the way of doing things. And, you know, you could be, that alone could leave you behind, so to speak. All right, let's start closing out here. I wanted to put this comment up here. So this one was by Jasmine. The heart behind the tools matter even more. That was the, oh, no. Sorry, Jasmine. You made a recommendation, not that one. But that is a good comment nonetheless. Somebody had made a comment about a recommendation. Oh, sorry, it was Stacy. Excuse me. Your Undivided Attention is a great podcast about human rights impact of AI. So I'm going to check that one out. Thank you for that, Stacy. And also Mark made some recommendations on AI podcasts to listen to as well. I'm gonna take a look at it. James is asking any comments on the budget debate. I'm actually talking all about that on Sunday. We're gonna watch through it. We're gonna watch through the section of Western Jamaica, which is very interesting. I'm very excited. I'm actually super excited for Sunday's live stream. We're going to be talking all about that. I'll get that podcast. I mean, the live stream link up in the next couple of days, and we're going to be diving real deep into that. But this is a great stream. You know, these Thursday streams have been great so far. We've had 2 great ones right in a row with Gabby last week, Mark this week. Who knows who's going to come on next week? I think we're going to close it out there. This was a lovely one. I will see you on Sunday. So we're doing Sunday, 12 o'clock, hopefully. No podcast dropping this weekend. We're working on something really big for next week. So the team needs to focus on the drop that's coming out next Saturday. So you'll hear about it next Thursday. You should hear about it, all being well. Wishing you all a great evening, and thank you for joining. And like I said, we will have a live stream on Sunday, our usual Sunday live stream. Have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody. Have a good night. This podcast is supported by Discovery Water. Whether I'm working or training, I reach for Discovery Water. 100% premium Jamaican spring water. Bottled in glass, no plastic, no gimmicks,